I see. Cool. Okay. So Lindsay, is your mom there with you? Oh, there you are. You're both there. Hi. So y'all's speakers on mute, just so you know, or your microphone's on mute. Let's see here. I think we're waiting on Mari. She was supposed to be gracious. I just made everything shrink way too small. There we go. There we go. So,
as far as running our HVAC company, like we do things with mailers and things like that, and things like, I think they call it like bullseye marketing, where, you know, you do a system in one place and then you market to the homes surrounding that area. We mostly do residential work. So most of our business comes word of mouth. And we like it like that because in defining our business, we really want people who pay. And we find that when you do tons of mass advertising, you get a lot of people who don't pay. So anyway, that's where I am. I'm still developing my ideas about, I mean, I guess I'd have to say it looks like I'll be creating something for myself, because there aren't any studios that they wouldn't make any money. A large studio is not going to make any money if you just run small classes. They need more people through the door. So I have to formulate some kind of thing that I run independently myself.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I can address this, and we can also talk about different ideas and structures that you would use for your business, because there's a few different ways of handling things. Obviously, you're aware of the studio model where you have classes, and you're right, the class size usually needs to be above 5. Depending on the cost of a space rental, or if you have access to a space, you might still be able to do classes of up to 5 people, and it could potentially be profitable. So I don't know exactly what the situation where you're at is, but it might be a thing you want to do. There's also a model where you do private lessons. Sometimes at your location or at going to their location. That can be, usually it's a pricier option, right? Your clientele is going to have to be slightly more well off, because they're also going to have to pay for you to, if you're going to them, they're going to pay extra. You go there, or at least you should price yourself so that you're getting paid to travel there as well.
Oh, sure.
So, and that's possible. That's a model that I've seen be successful in Seattle. So I can't say about everywhere, but if there's people who are curious about yoga, people who want, if there's no classes in the area, it might be the only way that you can get yoga.
Well, there's classes. We're in Snohomish, and there's 3 yoga studios, all very different. Each one caters to a totally different clientele. So there's yoga studios. I don't see myself as participating in any of them. Like, I don't know. I'm not so wild about any of them. And, you know, I haven't gone to them and said, hey, I'm doing my practicum. Can you work with me and all of that? So I haven't really formed a relationship besides a student at any of them yet.
Okay. Well, but it's good to know that it exists. There's also this factor of people who don't like going to studios because it's so public. There's a lot of people who, potentially have just a lot of body shame issues, and they are intimidated by bendy people that they think go to yoga classes. So you see a lot of people, at least around here, that if they have the means, are interested in having someone come over and teach them yoga because they like the yoga, but making it work around their schedule is nicer, and then they don't have that anxiety piece of being in front of a bunch of people. So yeah, private sessions might be an option. There's also the option of doing something that's purely online. So you could do something where you build a presence online, which is its own little world of insanity, but doable. And then you sell something like videos or something along those lines, sort of lesson or material. that you actually sell. And those tend to, you put a lot of work in because the marketing is a little bit different than probably the stuff you've done in the past. Private practice, anything that's in person, face-to-face, the networking that you used when you were doing therapy in private practice is spot on. Talking to real people, getting them on board with what you're doing, getting them to come to what you do or engage you in your services, and letting them know to tell their friends. All of that works really well in person.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, it crosses over into the online world, but it's a very small pool of people.
Mm-hmm.
So building a brand online means you have to develop your voice and your concept, who you're speaking to, a following of people who are interested in what you're doing without them paying anything yet. Then you convert a following into the client base, basically. Like you get them to buy whatever it is you're trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that they keep buying more of it because they love you so much. So they buy one video, they buy the next video, they sign up for a membership of all the videos you produce. You have to produce on some kind of schedule or some.
Okay.
The clients that you're looking for with a daily yoga practice, and so you just film your daily yoga practice and let them go along with you, or are they looking for a catered, constructed experience of, I want to learn about this thing, I want to learn this kind of yoga, I want to engage with these topics. That's very different.
Okay.
And all of those are possibilities. There's tons of different systems are existing to help you create course that's distributed online. The whole their system is in place, so you don't need to worry about the technology. Usually, it's user-friendly enough that it's similar to if you can navigate Facebook, you can usually navigate their system.
Okay.
So you don't have to code anything. It's not too bad. The real trick there is it would be probably a very different kind of marketing from what you've seen. It's not going to be mailers. And in order to get enough clients that you can do the word of mouth is fantastic. And it definitely works online, similar to what you've seen in your HVAC business. But it's in larger numbers. You need more people following you, more people talking about you.
Okay.
So it's kind of a question of how do we build a following online?
Okay.
What social media channel do you want to use? What materials are you going to produce that would result in followers and people interested in what you're doing?
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. We're just in such the beginning stages of all of this.
Yeah, it's good. It's part of why I'm sort of like spelling out sort of the different categories, because I want to get you thinking about that there's these different ways of handling things. And you can do more than one simultaneously. Like any of these complements the other really well. If you're teaching a studio class and you have an online presence, people will cross-pollinate across both of them.
Okay.
Your studio class, they'll find you online. They'll find you online. They'll come to your studio class. Right?
Okay.
And same with private lessons. So you don't really have to pick one, but you might want to pick the primary one to start with, because it's going to drive your initial marketing attempt.
Okay.
So if you're trying to teach people privately one-on-one, building an online brand is secondary, whereas reaching out to people in person is going to get you clients and more immediately. If you build a brand online, you will eventually end up with online, like one-on-one clients, because you will become, your presence will get big enough and people will notice that you're in the area. They'll start to latch onto you for that reason, and they'll be like, oh, this is a personality I saw on Instagram and I think she's really cool. Oh, I can take lessons from her. Great.
Okay.
I'll pay you through the nose. You're so cool.
Okay.
Right? So it can work that way, but that's a longer path, sort of the roundabout way.
Okay.
Right? You can get there, but and maybe that's the preferred way, because then I don't know, maybe just the style of marketing is more desirable.
Okay.
a lot of things that I see with people are we end up ruling out certain marketing strategies because they just don't work for that person.
Okay.
Right? If you don't like talking in groups, then you're not going to use some sort of marketing model that's based on doing lots of public speaking.
Oh, right.
I imagine.
Yeah.
If posting photos to Instagram is like the worst idea in your mind, and you're like, I hate the way I look in photos, I never think to grab my phone and do a selfie, like, then maybe Instagram is not the right course of action.
Okay.
And coming up with, I mean, if you're going to go like something that's social media based, if it's about building your online presence, it's going to have to interact with social media, or you're going to have to pay through the nose for advertising. So there's a off there. You could just advertise, but it's usually more effective, as you found with your HVAC sales, that you want to go with more of an organic system rather than paid. Don't just give Google AdWords all your money, but put your time and effort and maybe small amounts of funds into something social media based, because then you build actually a relationship with people and actually follow you and like what you're doing, and they're more loyal supporters.
Yeah.
So going with that. Point being, so if you're going to do something online, you should probably find some aspect of social media tolerable.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to come up with an online presence and brand around that. And I think there's a lot of different ways to do that. Each social media is very different. Most people have sort of their preferences among them. But that would be, like, if you were like, I'm on a no social media for all of 2018 quest. I'd be like, well, maybe now is not the year to launch an online business.
Is that even possible, though, for people who are working for themselves, just to totally shun social media? Or do you just kind of have to pick one? Like, you have to pick Instagram or pick Twitter or pick something?
I recommend picking one, because when you're a solo operation, it's hard to manage every social media channel. And it's more, there's a higher return on investment by knowing one really well and by trying to do all of them poorly.
Okay.
So, and in selecting a social media channel, you want to pick one where your ideal client, your ideal student actually exists. Right? So there's a lot of yoga on Instagram, for example. You might be able to find a niche there. I don't see a lot of yoga on Twitter, for example. I don't know if Twitter would be like the social media you want to go after. If you happen to be somebody who really loves Twitter and it works for the way your brain works, where you're always saying the way Twitter rewards, then maybe that isn't the perfect overlap. Like, if your client isn't there, but you're there, that doesn't actually do anything. So, there's a bit of like which social media actually works for the way that you work, where are the clients, and that kind of has to coincide, or you have to make a concession of, I don't really like taking pictures of myself, but I'll make it work because I think my clients are on Instagram.
Okay. That's really helpful. Now the classes that you offer, I'm thinking of your services. Is it, so I've gotten your emails, but I haven't read completely the course outlines. So if I were to come to the course, would I just be learning generalized things, or could I actually walk through and end up with a solid plan to move forward with? Or is it better, in order to do that, to deal with you one-on-one?
So the course you're thinking of is the Growing Yoga Teachers course, correct? We do also offer a Plan Your Impossible Unicorn course, which is more straightforward business planning, and you would walk through yourself how to do it. And I don't have that on the calendar right now.
Okay.
Let me just get another one. But Growing Yoga Teachers, that is a bit more generalized. We hit a lot of different topics, and it's a small group, so I'm able to tailor pretty well to what people are thinking. And a lot of it is sort of choose your own level of engagement. So I'll give the class a task and say, okay, so either we're going to plan a workshop or we're going to pretend to plan a workshop. So you don't have to do it, but we're going to go through the planning process. We're going to figure out what this looks like.
Okay.
So yes and no. If you're like, I want this to move forward and I kind of know what I want, and you're settled on a lot of the specifics, one-on-one might make the most sense.
Okay. All right. That's helpful to know. I guess that's it as far as questions I have. Do you have questions?
No.
Okay.
Really?
Are you planning to do anything in terms of like working in the world of your yoga?
I want to. I still have a while till I can because I'm not the legal age to work yet. So
No.
haven't put a whole lot of thought into it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think too, with the yoga, like unless you kind of start your own, this is my thought, unless you start your own business, you kind of have to add it into what you're already doing, because, just going and teaching a few classes in a few places isn't really going to make a lot of money. And so you kind of have to decide, well, am I going to add it into doing these other things? Like Lindsay does photography and she does baking as well. And so, so we've thought, well, is it something that you add into those things or combine some of those things, or, I don't know what, or do you just want to go teach a class at somebody else's studio a couple of times a month and just, go teach it and go home? I used to think that anybody could run a business. Anybody could do that. And after hiring people, I've thought that's not true. So you have to decide what you're up for. Are you up for the running the business piece, or do you just want to kind of, let somebody else handle that piece of it and you just show up and teach once in a while?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a very different decision to decide that this is, I teach a class once a week and I'm fine with that, versus I want this to be my main thing.
Yeah.
And realistically, at least the way I've seen things going in Seattle, even teaching in a studio, you're expected to do marketing for your own class. You're expected to
really?
promote it. Yeah, there's more and more studios that, the studio is doing its own advertising, right? But they're also requesting of their teachers that their teachers help promote in some way.
So you're kind of like a contractor in that way. You bring your own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like there's a downside to that, because while you might even be paid as an independent contractor, and you're doing a lot of your own work to build your own presence, you're not allowed by the studio to necessarily promote all of your stuff, right? You could promote things at the same studio, but if you're at a competing studio and you're teaching a workshop one weekend, you might not like that so much, and that varies widely by studio. So more and more, I'm seeing that, if you want to teach like one class a week, then you can be an employed yoga teacher. But otherwise, you're in business for yourself, either literally or figuratively.
Okay.
And I think you're right. It's really hard to have a full schedule of studio classes that pays the bills.
Yeah.
Just on the studio classes are great for getting your name out and for a lot of people knowing who you are and that you teach yoga. But then where teachers actually make their money are workshops and private sessions.
Okay. That's helpful. On the private sessions, typically, I guess, so like as a therapist, you go, well, I can really only take about, working full time, about 20 to 24 clients a week. Mm-hmm. I can't take 30 clients or 40 clients a week, because you just can't possibly do the work. So as far as people who do their own clients with yoga, what kind of I'll say caseload, just because that's kind of what I'm familiar with. Mm-hmm. How many clients do they usually have?
Yeah, so most of the people I know who make their living doing yoga have a diversified strategy. So they have studio classes, they've got private sessions, and they're doing some kind of workshop or training that is actually, that's the big money maker, because people will pay more.
Okay.
So that is probably, I'd say their income was probably about a 30, like it's about a third each
Okay.
in each of those areas, give or take. I do know a teacher who was doing solely private lessons,
Okay.
was making a living doing that. And I got the sense that his caseload was, I mean, in the same realm as therapists. It wasn't
Okay.
more than 20 students a week.
Okay.
He was also servicing very, very well-off clients and charging them accordingly.
Okay.
So that's part of why he was making a living off of that little. He was probably charging the same amount as a therapist without the insurance taking any.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. That's helpful to know in thinking about, in beginning to think about how to, I'll just say build a practice. Years ago when I did it, I read a book about it, and it helped me a lot in thinking about like outlining, just to even say like, who is your ideal client, things like that. And at the time, my fellow colleagues, they said, you can't do that. You can't decide who your clients are going to be. You just take whoever comes in the door.
Yeah.
That is not a good plan. It's not a good.
There's a difference between accepting whoever shows up in front of you and saying, okay, great, I'll work with you. That's very different than trying to market to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Your client and your ideal client are actually two different people.
Yeah.
And the point of the ideal client in my mind is that we're targeting a very specific person. We want to be able to focus the message so that it resonates with the person you're trying to resonate with. And that person is actually like a large group of people. It's generally a whole swath. So it tends not to be overly limiting.
Right.
And I mean, I get clients all the time who are like, totally not my ideal client. I'm like, my ideal client, for example, is a woman. I've got 2 clients right now who are men. And I'm like, okay, that works great. I'm not going to kick you out.
Yeah.
With like a little checklist being like, you know what, I don't think you actually meet my criteria. Right?
No.
So they read all of my material and they said, yeah, this is what I want to do. This sounds like she understands me and like that this is going to work.
Right.
I looked at them and said, oh, cool, because that wasn't what I was thinking. Sure.
Yeah.
You never know. And more so, it means that you have clarity of your message. Your brand, the thing you're trying to say actually makes sense, and it's not this very ephemeral, I'll take anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be anybody. They want to go to the specialist and the thing that they care about.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think people see it as exclusive rather than inclusive, and it's totally inclusive. And realizing that I am not appropriate to work with everyone based on my own shortcomings and my own strengths. Someone else might be a way better fit for someone else. So it's not exclusive. It's inclusive.
Yeah, it's a little counterintuitive, but exactly. Yeah, it's inclusive. It's not exclusive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like you've done some of this stuff before in terms of identifying that ideal client. And it only becomes more important if you're going to pursue something online to have a very clear message and a clear idea of what you're trying to convey and who would care about this.
Okay.
Because that's going to drive so much of the marketing, and it's very easy to get lost in the din and the noise of online. That clear message can cut through that.
Okay.
So the more clarity you can have, the better. There's also a lot of tools and resources. There's a lot of people out there who are doing online. They're marketing themselves online, and that they're falling in line with everything that I'm saying as well. And there's a lot of resources out there. I discovered there's a lot on Pinterest, actually. My Pinterest keeps feeding me this stuff.
Wow.
Like, here's all the things you need to know about SEO, and here's how to promote your brand on Instagram, and there's lots of resources. People have checklists and things and strategies for how to develop content that you share through social media.
Oh, interesting.
One of the big things is you have to have something worth talking about.
Right.
And how much does, you know, in your daily life, are you like, oh, I just found a gem of wisdom that I'm going to share with the world? You know, I have like a couple of months maybe. And I cultivate it, I work on it. So in that case, you know, how do you go find more content? So some of it for my personal strategy is that I find other people who are saying things that I support and I share that. So I'm sharing content that's not mine and saying, here's some cool stuff that my audience cares about.
Okay.
And I develop my own content. So I have a blog because that's what works for me. Some people do videos, some people do podcasts. All of these are fine. But the point is that you need some sort of thing of value, something your client would value, that they can consume without ever paying anything. So people get to know me, they get to know how I think and how I talk about stuff through my blog. And then hopefully the idea is that that makes the purchasing decision very simple. I've been saying so many smart things through my blogs that they're like, well, clearly I'm ready to take this leap and I need you to be my coach to do this.
Okay.
So, yeah, on Instagram, content is typically pretty pictures. On Pinterest is also very image heavy, but usually is more checklists and sort of guides of various sorts. Facebook, a lot of it is conversations. Can you get conversations going and thought concepts? And LinkedIn is similar, but more along the job lines. Very different demographic. Similar strategy.
I don't really know much about LinkedIn. Do you think it's a super valuable resource for someone who works for themselves? Sorry.
Okay. It depends on your industry. It really does. I've had clients who, hands down their industry, it's going to be LinkedIn. Like that's where they go.
Okay.
I've had other people where we would never do LinkedIn because it has nothing to do with the world of work. There's a lot of tech people on LinkedIn, a lot of other HR people.
Okay.
A lot of it is that working context. So, I mean, at first blush, I would say there's a lot of yoga that would probably not be on LinkedIn. But that being said, HR departments are on LinkedIn, and HR departments have these wellness programs. There's a little bit of overlap between wellness programs and yoga.
Okay.
And if you were interested in like some kind of workplace yoga or yoga serving the office worker of some sort, that would be where you find them.
Okay, I see. Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would kind of think LinkedIn wouldn't be your first go-to. Okay. But I could be wrong.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful.
Cool. Well, we have more time. Do you guys have like other questions, follow-up questions? Do we want to like explore an idea or something for a little while?
I don't really have much.
I don't have any other questions. We're still so in the starting stages of all of this. Like I feel like I don't want to take up your time on some just kind of thing I just pull out of the air. Like I'd rather come to you, like, okay, here's a couple ideas here. And I don't have that yet because I just haven't gotten there yet. So
if I could offer a tip, something that can be helpful, is it usually takes time to develop your sort of online persona.
Okay.
So even though you're just figuring stuff out, it can be worthwhile to start an account with some sort of very generic name for yourself or something, or just off of your personal account. Start sharing things that you think would make sense.
Oh, that's helpful.
That
okay.
inspires you right now. And sort of what gets traction. See what stuff you feel really good about having posted later, and what stuff are you like, yeah, it's not really my voice.
Okay.
Like, if you go back and read my first 5 blog posts. They're terrible. They're all over the place. I mean, they're not bad. I'm a good writer. But they're everywhere. Like, I was like, maybe I'll do this, and maybe I'll write about that, and maybe I'll do this thing.
Yeah.
So you sort of just start trying some stuff out.
Okay.
And social media accounts are free, so it's really simple to just start posting things and seeing what people are into and seeing what you can get a rise out of, and
okay.
Sort of experimenting with it and seeing, are there people who are into your kind of yoga on LinkedIn, for example? If you
okay.
Do they respond?
Okay.
Not, okay, probably not the right place.
Okay. That's really helpful. And I think it's true. I think everybody's bad when they start out.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Oh, man.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, no, that's good. That I'm glad you reminded me of that I'm going to be bad. I mean, you forget that, but it's so true. And then you get to it and you go, but it's just true. That's all. It's true.
And these days, I mean, if you wanted to do, like, if your idea was maybe I'll sell yoga videos online, you could do them as like Facebook Live videos or those Instagram stories or something, like do little short videos.
Okay.
And they are only good for 24 hours and then they disappear. It'll be terrible. No one will know about it.
That's right. It's kind of like, we don't do Snapchat, but it's kind of like the Snapchat thing. It goes away, here and gone.
Yeah. Snapchat is one that it's not corporatized. It's not become business oriented quite the way that any of the rest have yet. They've started doing ads, but it's not very good. So Snapchat is one where if you think your target demographic is on Snapchat, that potentially could be really challenging.
I really don't want anything to do with Snapchat. I think Snapchat is an easy way to have bad behavior. That's my opinion. So I really don't participate in Snapchat. So I know other people enjoy it. It's not for me.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. But since it came up, but all the other ones have followed suit, and they all have some kind of a video feature at this point.
Okay.
So you can always just try it out.
Yeah, no, that's really, that it is helpful to experiment knowing that you're failing. Like if you're thinking, I have to show up and be perfect the very first time, I think we get stuck in that. We go, okay, let's put this whole thing together. I've been working on this for months. And instead, I really appreciate what you said. Just try some stuff out. Just try it out. See what happens. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, there's a lot of businesses that have started by someone trying something out.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs who are like, it's kind of my last ditch effort, and then it worked. And so I went with it. Not everybody's that lucky. Like, I very consciously built my business.
Yeah.
On the lark. But, I also cross paths with people who are the complete opposite personality type as me, and they have successful businesses.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's definitely something true to what you said about there's some people who just aren't entrepreneurs.
Oh, right.
They really prefer to be employed, and that's really the way their brains work. It takes a strong sense of independence to be an entrepreneur.
I've never put words to what it takes, but I think you're right. And, I always thought, who doesn't want to do it? Like, to me, when people say, oh, I went and I worked that job at the phone company for 30 years, I'm like, that sounds like death to me.
I know, right? People are like, I just want to know I have a paycheck every day. I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, I get a paycheck. I pay myself. It's a different number every month.
I know, but I think about, how made this work for us, and it's reshaped itself over time. Because at first we wanted to have a large business, then we realized it wasn't a good fit for us, so we scaled things back and we made things simpler. People enjoy a large business. We found it to be more work for very little increased income, at least in HVAC. I'm sure other businesses are different, but it was too much work. So things are simpler and it works, and we're not going to be millionaires, but we believe in ourselves and we know how to do this. And I think that's what it takes when you go, we know how to do this. And so it's okay. And the numbers are different all the time, but for the most part, it's fine.
It's different. Yeah, the numbers are different all the time, and you actually have a bit more control over that. It's most of the things in the modern era at this point. Like,
I
there's
think
so
so.
many changes in the economy. You're likely for a business to suddenly go from doing great to doing zero.
Yeah,
like,
it's true. It's true.
And you have a chance to be like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Something different.
It's true.
You know, an employer being like, and you're gone.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll be interested to see if my kids are going to be entrepreneurs or not, being that they've grown up around that, or they might just take a job and keep it for 30 years. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you could. It's okay. Actually, I'm the daughter of an entrepreneur, and she's been employed. She had a business and she sold it, and now she's been employed for a very long time. But there's definitely something about having a parent who's an entrepreneur that makes it feel very possible.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that normal people do.
Yeah. How long have you been a coach?
About 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it
maybe longer. What was that?
Always in Seattle area?
Yes. I moved out here right after college, and I have had basically my whole working life out here. Like, I was employed at college, but yeah. So I've been out here 11 and a half years now.
Okay. Oh, where did you go to school?
Syracuse University.
Oh, okay. And is that where you grew up?
I grew up in South Texas.
Oh, so totally different. Okay, interesting. Okay.
I like to call it the Goldilocks approach. Texas is too hot. Syracuse is too cold.
That's funny. That's good. Very good.
Anyhow, yeah. So I started coaching on the side when I was working as a consultant with big companies, and I was working with people who were little solo operations, and they just needed their help wrapping their brains around things and trying to make decisions and making sure they're paying all their taxes right and and so I started coaching, and then I turned it into a full-time thing.
Oh, interesting.
That was over 3 years ago now. So.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Good for you. Well, good. I have your stuff, and so I hope at some point to connect up with you. I'm thinking one-on-one might be better than actually taking the class. So I think you know what you're doing. I mean, I get that from you, and so that and I so appreciate Molly, adding you in. Like, this is a needed piece. If you're going to be a teacher and succeed, then this is a needed piece. Yeah. So I'm glad you're here.
I'm really happy to be here. I think it's great. And I've been working with Molly for years, so it's great to be a part of the training and offering this piece. Because you're right, there's a need, particularly in the Pacific Northwest, where the yoga market is a little on the saturated side, and so we have to get a little bit more creative. We can't just have a job teaching yoga classes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will let you guys get on with your day. Thank you so much for taking this time. I had fun. And feel free to be in touch if and when you're ready to start doing something one-on-one. I do offer the first session is free, so if you want to sit down and talk about what you're thinking and just hash stuff out and see, that's what we can do with the first hour.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay, good. All right, thank you so much. You've given us stuff to go on. Thanks.
I'm glad. All right, take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.